Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. Crystal Rogers is missing. The police have a lot of questions about her boyfriend, Brooks Houck. So who better for them to talk to than Brooks' brother, Nick? You see, Nick is a cop, so surely he's going to be better than his brother at giving a straight answer to a straight question.
When did you find out Crystal was missing? When do you remember finding out?
Within a couple of days.
How did you find out?
I don't know if I saw it on TV or... Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if Brooks had mentioned or I saw it on TV. It was all over Facebook and everything. You know, man, it's everywhere.
We're going to dig into the words to see what secret the Houck brothers are keeping in this episode from Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What I do here is different from anywhere else. I'm going to strip away everything apart from the words that are said. Then I'm going to use my process of statement investigation to see possibly where the truth is, where deception is, and the motivations of the person we're listening to as well. It's a process that I use with investigators, with the media, and with corporate clients to get to the truth of what is really being said. So Crystal Rogers went missing. 2015, she went missing. She still has not been found. Now, I've done a couple of episodes looking at her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Houck, talking to the police. Man, he is not giving straight answers to straight questions, and he is hiding a lot. Now, the investigators thought they'd get in Brooks' brother, Nick Houck, a policeman. Surely he is going to be able to help the police with this investigation and clear things up. Well, that's what we're going to look at in this episode. Does he shine some light, or is he as evasive as his brother? What I'm going to look at when we're listening here, especially pay attention to yes, no questions. Those are questions you can answer with a quick yes, a quick no, maybe even a don't know would be an acceptable answer to a yes, no question. But if we don't hear yes, if we don't hear no, if we don't hear don't know, then we know something more is going on. We're probably involved in some storytelling or deception. So keep an ear out for questions that the police ask that could be answered with a very simple yes or a very simple no. Let's go into the police interview room and listen to Nick Houck.
So you don't remember the last time that you had seen Crystal. How about when did you find out Crystal was missing? When do you remember finding out?
Within a couple of days.
Okay. How did you find out?
I don't know if I saw it on TV or... Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if Brooks had mentioned or I saw it on TV. It was all over Facebook and everything. You know, man, it's everywhere. It's on national news.
I mean, this is for all intents and purposes your sister-in-law, and she's missing. I mean, you and your brother just not talk to that extent that
That's kind of bad, isn't it?
I mean,
But he never called you and told you she was missing, or
No.
Nobody else in your family called and told you that she was missing.
called and asked, "Have you seen her?"
Yeah.
Was it unusual for her to take off like that, or?
I know Brooks has said she's taken off to her, I think her mom's before, but I didn't know anything about that either. So.
I mean, I know when you get baby mama drama, you try to stay out of it. But I mean, you would think if he was really, concerned, that he would, hey, my brother's a police officer. He knows what to do. Let me call him and see what's going on.
Yes, it's not like that.
Okay. So you don't know how you found out she was missing, whether it was from Facebook or TV or if he mentioned it.
No.
I mean,
I thought, I had several people that watched it, talk to me about it. So, like I said, it's ran together at this point.
sure. I mean, has he talked to you about it a lot, or?
Very little, if any.
Okay. Like, I mean, what's he said?
I don't know that he said much of anything. I mean, obviously, I'm not really gonna bring it up to him because I know him well. I know he's a good guy and that he wouldn't have anything to do with something like this. So, I'm not gonna sit there and question him about it. I just feel like I know for sure that he had nothing to do with her disappearance or whatever, and that's just where I'm at.
Sure.
Okay, so what the heck is going on there? We've got a policeman answering questions to policemen. Does he come across as helpful to you? Well, let's look at his words to see what we can discern inside them. So he's asked, you don't remember the last time that you've seen Crystal. How about, when did you find out when Crystal was missing? When do you remember finding out? And Nick says, within a couple of days. Now, the question is, when do you remember finding out? And to be fair to Nick, he answers with a when, within a couple of days. He doesn't go into some storytelling or some deception there. He says that he found out within a couple of days. Now, you might think it's strange that your brother's girlfriend goes missing, vanished off the face of the earth. The mother of your brother's child goes missing, and you find out within a couple of days. What it helps to do when we're doing statement analysis like this is to believe what we hear, certainly at first, so accept this is the truth. And it's possible. If they are not a close family, if Nick and Brooks don't talk very often, if they don't consider themselves friends or anything like that, within a couple of days is possible. I mean, you might find it kind of unlikely, even if they were far apart. Maybe Brooks spoke to his mom and mom spoke to Nick, but that's his answer. Let's accept it within a couple of days. And let's keep accepting what we hear from Nick, at least until he contradicts himself. So the policeman says, how did you find out? And Nick says, I don't know. I saw it on TV, or yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if Brooks had mentioned it or I saw it on TV. Now, again, you're thinking, how unlikely is this? You know, if your brother's girlfriend is missing, I know when you found out, because it's going to be a major event in your life and in its entirety, but certainly within that time frame. I think this was maybe a couple of weeks after Crystal went missing, and he doesn't know. But he says, I don't know. Now, I don't know is generally considered more truthful. Truthful people don't mind saying, I don't know. So what is going on here? Does he really not know? Or, let me put this to you. Is he aware of a storyline he has to stick to in his head, and he doesn't know when he found out about it inside this storyline? So is that why the I don't know, a generally truthful thing, can come there? Because he's playing a part and he knows things in his head, and that's where the I don't know came from. Let's dig into his words further. I don't know if I saw it on TV. I mean, really? You would not remember that you saw that your brother's girlfriend was missing, had disappeared mysteriously, and you didn't know if you found out through TV? That would be a jaw-dropping moment. Oh my God, Crystal's missing and I didn't know about it, and I'm only finding out about it on TV. But look, let's keep believing him while we can. Yeah, I really don't know. So he's convincing us there. I really don't know. Not just, I don't know, but you got to believe me because I really don't know. He's turning the severity of the sentence up a little bit. I really don't know. He's trying to persuade the detectives now that he doesn't know. I mean, I don't know if Brooks had mentioned it or I saw it on TV. I mean, I don't buy that, but let's look at his words. I don't know if Brooks had mentioned it. Mentions very casual. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. What you been up to? Oh yeah, I've been to work and so on. And also went round to Mom's for tea last night. It was really nice. Yeah, anything else going on? Oh yeah, my girlfriend's missing. That would be mentioning it. That would be how mention went. I don't know if Brooks had mentioned it or I saw it on TV. It was all over Facebook and everything, you know. It just was everywhere on national news. I mean, I just don't know. So this is not him saying how he found it out. This is him saying it was very popular. It may sound like he's answering the question of, here's some of the possibilities about how I could have found out. It was all over Facebook and everything, you know. It was everywhere on national news. I mean, I just don't know. Now, if it was his brother's girlfriend missing and it's national news, and he still doesn't know how he found out, I find that very strange, but let's believe his words. However, with that really don't know, with that mentioned it, I'm going, there's a little bit more going on here. And again, we've got, I just don't know. I just don't know. It's that word just. Always dig in when you hear a just for potential deception. I just don't know. He just wants you to focus in on the fact that he doesn't know. But we do have that I don't know going on again. It continues. I mean, this is to all intents and purposes your sister-in-law, says the police guy. She's missing. I mean, do you and your brother not talk to the extent that, you know, he and Nick says, that's kind of bad, isn't it? So he's not saying, and this is a yes/no question, do you and your brother just not talk to that extent? No, we don't. We're not very close. We hardly ever speak. We don't like each other. No, we just don't keep in touch with each other like that. He doesn't say no to any of that. He doesn't say, yeah, we're just, far apart from each other. It's no yes or no. He just makes a statement. That's kind of bad, isn't it? But he's not committed to that statement because it's kind of bad. So he doesn't really feel it's bad, potentially because they are closer than he wants to us to believe here. So it's kind of bad. He doesn't have the genuine words to back that up. I mean, but he never called you and told you she was missing. And he says, no. He never called you and told you she was missing. And he says, no. Emphatic to that yes/no question. He never called you and told you Crystal was missing. No, he didn't. And yet, if we zip back, how did you find out? He says, I don't know. I don't know if Brooks had mentioned it or I saw it on TV. He's just saying, I don't know, but he's emphatic. And I believe him because it's a very straightforward answer that Brooks did not call him to say that Crystal was missing because he gives a no. Nobody else in your family called you and told you she was missing? Again, we've got that no. It's a straightforward no answer to the question. So he knows, despite all this vagueness about I don't know how I found it out, he knows, and I believe him, Brooks didn't call him to tell him that Crystal was missing, and no one in the family called him to say that Crystal was missing. What does that tell you? Did anyone call and asked, had you seen her? Was it unusual for her to take off like that? Oh, please, guys, don't ask two questions at once. Ask one question, and then we will be able to dissect the answers a hell of a lot better, because he doesn't answer the question about did anyone call and ask, had you seen her? Was it unusual for her to take off like that? He says, I know Brooks has said she's taken off to her, I think her mom's before, but, I didn't know anything about that either, so... And he's just drifting off here. When we're not being honest, and this is an indication that he may not being honest here, Nick, we can start really emphatically. I know Brooks has said she's taken off to her mom's before, and then it drifts away. I know Brooks had said she'd taken off to her, I think her mom's before, but I didn't know anything about that either, so... And it all drifts away. An indication that he's not very committed to what he's saying. He doesn't have the authentic experience and events inside him, inside his mind, to be able to just verbalize that really fluidly. I know Brooks had said she'd taken off to her mom's before. I know it's not I have experience of it. It's that Brooks has said this, and Brooks has said it's just a little bit distant. It's not, I know Brooks, I know she's taken off to her mom's before. That would be direct experience, but he knows the story that Brooks has told is what he's saying there in his words, and it drifts off. Police guys say, I know when you get a baby mama drama, you try and stay out of it. But I mean, you would think if he was really, concerned that he would. And Nick goes, which is a tacit agreement. Hey, my brother's a police officer. He knows what he's going to do. Let me call him and see what's going on. So what the police are putting to him there is, so your brother's girlfriend was missing, disappeared, vanished. And he didn't think of calling his brother, the police officer, for help or guidance or advice. And there's just this long sort of yes from Nick, which is expanding that yes. I think that's buying some thinking time. Maybe even oh crap, that's a very good question I don't have an answer to. It's yes, it's not like that. It's not like that. What does that mean? It's again, it's not full, it's not flowing, it's not we don't have that kind of relationship, which would be all the words needed to make sense of that sentence. It's a very generic, it's not like that. And like his brother, Nick is telling us a lot of things that are not happening. It's not like that. He's not explaining what the relationship is like. He's not saying how it does go. He's just focused on this. It's not like that. Because what does that do? It closes something off. It's not like that. It's just very closed. It's not like that. If he was to open it up and say, we don't talk that regularly, we had a bit of a falling out, or, we're not that close, we never have been, or anything like that, then that's wide and allows lots of questions to be asked. It's not like that. Closes it down a lot. Okay, so you don't know how you found out she was missing, whether it was from Facebook or TV or if he mentioned it. He says, no, I thought, I had some people have obviously, talked to me about it. So he's still very vague. He remembers certain things with concreteness. He knows that Brooks didn't call him. He knows some people have talked to him about it, but he doesn't know how he found out. He just remembers all this stuff. He doesn't want to be pinned down to something, is what I think is going on here. He says, I thought, I had some people have obviously, talked to me about it. Some people, not being specific there. That word people comes up a lot in deception. People have been telling me this. People are saying this. The people is curiously undefined, like a lot of what Nick is talking about. It's so broad and vague. Some people have obviously, talked to me about it. Obviously, as a convincer. Obviously, people have mentioned it to me. So again, it's this, don't ask any questions. This is obvious. People have mentioned it. Lots of people have mentioned it and talked to me about it. Now, it is a specific event, not talk to me about Crystal, which would be show some closeness and some concern and some care, or even her. It's about it. It refers to an event. Now, at this time, when this interview is happening, Crystal's presumed missing, and therefore there is no it, because there could be lots of things that have happened. There's multiple things. It is one thing. Now, at the time, Crystal was missing, so multiple things could have happened. She could have decided to go away. She could have been abducted. She could have been killed. She could have had an accident. She could have lost her mind and not know where she is and be in a confused state somewhere. But it is a singular event, and it's a singular event there that Nick is focused on. Does he have knowledge of a singular event, the it that he's talking about? So like I said, it's ran together at this point. Now, I know what he's wanting to get across. The impression here is so many people were talking about it. I can't remember how I found out. But he doesn't say those words. He just doesn't verbalize it like that. It's ran together at this point. And so, like I said, well, you haven't said that at all. You've alluded to it, but you haven't said that. However, people who are being deceptive will very often tell us, this is something I've said before. Look how consistent I am. Like I said, I'm sticking to this one story, and if I'm not deviating, if I'm sticking to this one story and flagging it up with phrases like I said, then I must be being honest. Please believe I'm being honest. The policeman says, has he talked to you about it a lot, or... And Nick says, very little, if any. You know what I mean? Very little, if any. Your brother's girlfriend is missing, and you've spoken about it very little. Again, if they're not close, this could be true. If Brooks doesn't need Nick's help or has a support network around him that doesn't require his brother involved, then very little could be true. But very little, if any, you should at least be able to remember whether your brother has spoken to you about your girlfriend being his girlfriend being missing. And remember, he was asked, how did you find out? And he says, I don't know if Brooks has mentioned it. So very little, if any. How much memory do you have about these conversations you've had with Brooks? Because it keeps sliding along a different scale. What's he said? Asked the detective. I don't know he said much of anything. I mean, obviously, I'm not really going to bring it up to him because, I know him well. I know he's a good guy. So in Nick's head here, what is he thinking, like a policeman? So your brother's girlfriend goes missing and you think bad things. You don't think of supporting him. You don't think of trying to find Crystal. You certainly, your view of Crystal is not one of such that she is flighty or horrible or would just abandon Brooks and the kids. You'll notice that his first priority in his head is Brooks a good guy or not? And we have an obviously there as well. I mean, obviously, I'm not really so obviously, again, don't question this. It's obvious. It's just something that I want you to accept without any question. Obviously, I'm not really going to bring it up. Obviously, you're not going to bring up your brother's girlfriend's disappearance. That's why the word obviously is in there, because it doesn't make logical sense. He wants to close that off by saying, it's obvious. I know him well, is what he says. Now, one of the things I've been saying is give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Are they not very close? Is there a lot of distance between them? But Nick is saying here, I know him well. And in the present tense, it's not I knew him well. It's I know him well. Well, what? You know him well, or you hardly ever talk? The two things can't be true. I know he's a good guy and he wouldn't have anything to do with something like this. And again, we're in the event thing, because look at all the things that could have happened. Does the phrase, he wouldn't have anything to do with something like this, does that hang true if Crystal has decided that she's off, that she's had enough of this relationship, or if Crystal's had an accident and decided to go for a walk late at night and, you know, fell over or tripped and, you know, has just not been found, it's been a tragic accident. But Nick seems to think in his head something bad has happened, because he says that Brooks is a good guy and he wouldn't have anything to do with something like this, one singular event, and something is very generic, and like this, he's not saying exactly what that something is, but he is alluding to the fact that in his head, and why would this be in his head, there's been a single incident and it involves someone being bad. It's not Brooks, as Nick tells it, but someone has been bad. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and question him about it. You know, his first instinct on thinking about his brother's girlfriend Crystal's disappearance is to question Brooks. Now, you're a policeman. You don't have to question him like a suspect, but you could question him. What was her state of mind like? Had she threatened to leave you? Had you guys had an argument? Was she seeing someone else? All those questions, those would be valuable questions for the police brother to ask his brother to help find his girlfriend. Concern should be there, but it's not there. His first instinct was to question his brother, and not questions that would help, but questions that would expose Brooks' guilt. I mean, I just feel, I know for sure that he had nothing to do with her disappearance or whatever, and I mean, that's just where I'm at. Big sort of word salad, but let's break it down. I mean, I just feel like I know for sure, so we have no certainty there. It's just, I just feel sense. I know for sure, so he's hardening it up there, but it's a feeling. I just feel I know for sure he had nothing to do with her disappearance or whatever. Brooks did this as well. He would say something, then realise that it maybe sounded bad, and he had to sort of backtrack on it. So it's her disappearance or whatever. It's not her disappearing, which would be suggesting that Crystal was in charge of the action of disappearing. He has nothing to do with her disappearing or her going away or her not being there. It's her disappearance. As again, he's alluding to one single thing which Crystal had no control over, of which bad behavior was involved, and it's her disappearance. And then he goes, or whatever, as in, I obviously haven't drawn any conclusions as to what happened. And I mean, that's just where I'm at. And there's that word just again. Do not think there's any more to that. This is just where I'm at. There is no more. Do not ask any more questions. This is where I'm at. So one question in, and look, logically this is so weak. I only look at the words, but then the logic just made me go, whoa, I'm going to dig into the words. Man, I've got questions. Nick seems to think his default position is a criminal disappearance, if you'll notice it. Brooks is a good guy. I ain't going to question. It's something has happened. It's that one thing. His default assumption or knowledge is that there has been a criminal disappearance. There are so many contradictions in there. Does Brooks talk to him or doesn't he? Has Brooks mentioned the disappearance or doesn't he? So many contradictions, which is why I say, look, believe what you hear. If it's possible, especially believe what you hear. It might be unlikely, but if it's possible, believe what you hear, but then look for the contradictions. And that's what we saw there. And he has no concern expressed at all for his brother, whose girlfriend is missing, and no concern for Crystal either. He's not trying to help find Crystal at all. You'll notice that he doesn't say, as soon as I heard, I offered help. As soon as I heard, I tried to find her, went round her old haunts, spoke to her family. Nothing like that. No concern for Brooks's brother, and no concern for Crystal either. Extremely worrying for a first answer. Now, I'm doing this episode because so many people got in touch. Thank you so much for that, and said, please do Nick, the brother. So that is why I'm doing it. If there's anyone else that you'd like me to look at involved in this case, or if you'd like me to do a little bit more of Nick, because Nick has spoken a few times to the police and we have the recordings of that, do let me know. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more. Let me know in the comments if there's someone else around this case that you'd like me to look at. Please do let me know. This whole thing, the Crystal Rogers case, came to me from a comment on YouTube. So again, if there's someone that you're interested in me breaking down the words on, do let me know. And again, if there's enough interest in this video, if it gets enough shares and likes and views, then that's a signal to me that we should be doing some more of this. Now, let's dive back into the police interview room and hear some more from Nick Houck.
So did he ever call you after he reported her missing?
I'm sure at some point he's called. I mean, I don't really remember what he asked about, but
Okay.
Like, was that before? Do you remember when he was interviewed?
oh yeah.
When was that?
A few days after the fact. I mean,
Like a few days after what?
a few days after everything came out and the SO started interviewing.
Okay. Did you make a phone call to him when the SO was interviewing him?
Yes, I did.
Matter of fact, I think it was a couple of phone calls, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of got a little spat on the phone, or it seemed like that to
Yeah.
some people. What did you call
Well,
it?
just basically, I mean, Brooks is a really cooperative guy, and obviously at this point you want to be cooperative, but you also want to protect yourself. And I think at a time like this right here, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be thinking exactly straight.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to make sure that he was kind of, protecting himself while that he cooperated with law enforcement, and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't want him to. I mean, it's just easy to get things confused and stuff, and so.
Well, I mean, you said yourself he's a cooperative guy, and you trust him, and to know that he's not involved in this. Then what reservations would you have about him talking?
Well, for one, the guy that's interviewing him has openly admitted that he lies in court.
Okay.
So, I mean, that kind of bothered me a little bit that John was doing it, but, that's just the way it is, I mean.
Right, so we have just more from Nick that just really astounds me that he's trying to get away with this in an interview. The police guy says to him, "Did he ever call you after he reported her missing?" And Nick's answer is, "I'm sure at some point he called." Well, there was a no, there was a I don't know earlier, and now he's sure at some point he called. So we kind of had three different versions of phone calls between Brooks and Nick. I mean, I don't really remember what he asked about, but I don't really remember. Again, I do remember, I'm just not 100%, or I'm going to be as vague as I possibly can here. But I don't remember what he asked about. Did he call and ask for something? Because that's why you would use those words. I don't really remember what he asked about. No, I don't remember what he called for, or I don't remember what we spoke about in the phone call. I don't remember what he asked about. So we can assume from that, Brooks has at some point called Nick and asked a question. As much as Nick's pretending to do I don't remember all these conversations between us, he does. Was that before? Do you remember when he was interviewed? Oh yeah, says Nick, and he does remember when Brooks was interviewed. When was that? Nick says, a few days after the fact. I mean, after the fact? The fact? Not after Crystal went missing. A few days after he noticed Crystal was missing. A few days after the disappearance. It's after the fact. Once more, in Nick's head, there's this singular event going on. It's not like a world of possibilities. It's a singular event. The fact. It is kind of police talk, I guess, they talk about the fact, but he is just letting us know he has this singular event, and the police pick up on this. A few days after what is the question? A few days after everything came out and the SO started interviewing. A few days after everything came out. Again, he's not saying a few days after Crystal went missing, a few days after the Brooks noticed that Crystal wasn't at home. It's a few days after everything came out. That suggests things were hidden, and then everything came out. Interesting, very interesting choice of words. And the SO started interviewing. Okay, did you make a phone call to him when the SO was interviewing him? And Nick says, yes, I did. That is a very honest answer. That's what the truth sounds like. It's simple, it's straightforward. There's no persuasive or convincing words, storytelling. There's not even any stuttering in there. It's a yes-no question. Did you make a phone call to him when the SO was interviewing him? Yes, is the answer to that. Now, why would that be? Now, when we make stories up, when we're being deceptive, which is potentially what Nick is doing here, then we have a version of events in our head, a story that we have to tell, and we've thought through lots of points of that story. If you're going to tell a long, involved lie about something, an important lie like this one, then one of the things you have to do with that lie is you have to make it fit in with events to which there are witnesses or facts that other people know. And the police here know that Nick called Brooks during that police interview. In fact, the interview ended very shortly after Nick called Brooks. So he can't lie here and say, and do his usual I don't remember type thing, or all of a sudden his memory is razor sharp. Yes, I did. Now, why would his memory be razor sharp? Because it's on record. It's on record, and he knows it's on record that he called Brooks during the police interview. No point in lying about it, which is why we get this very straightforward, yes, I did. So different from so many of Nick's answers. As a matter of fact, I think it was a couple of calls, wasn't it? Says the detective. Says Nick. That's confirmation. That's a yes, but he's not kind of going, yes, yeah, it was a couple of calls. It's I'm being a bit cagey. And, you know, kind of a little spat on the phone, or it seemed like to some people. Why did you call him? And Nick says, well, you know, just basically, I mean, Brooks is a really cooperative guy. And, you know, obviously at this point, you want to be cooperative, but you also want to protect yourself. And I think at a time like this right here, I mean, obviously, you wouldn't be thinking exactly straight. Let's break that word salad down. Well, you know, just basically the waffle going on here while he forms the words in his head that he really wants to say. Just basically, as in, just focus in on this one reason that I'm going to give you. Forget about anything else that's possible, or maybe things that I'm hiding over here, and I'm going to hide them by using the word just. And then basically, when someone says basically, they're qualifying what it is. I basically only went out to get a cup of coffee. Means you went out to get more stuff or to get a break or something like that. I just basically, and then he thinks about how he's going to phrase it. So he pulls out of all those thoughts. Well, you know, just basically, I mean, Brooks is a really cooperative guy. And, you know, obviously at this point, you want to be cooperative. At this point, this is very much like how you would talk if it was, right, you are going to pretend to be the concerned boyfriend of the missing woman. Therefore, you're going to want to be cooperative. You're not going to want to be cagey or shut off or refuse to do interviews. You want to give the police what they want at this point. And then if they get harder on you or ask you tougher questions, back off and stop being so cooperative. At this point, you want to be cooperative. But you also want to protect yourself. He's not talking about Brooks at this point, but he's talking about you in general. You want to protect yourself. And I think at a time like this right here, I mean, obviously, we have obviously again, which is just this convincing language. It's like, I'm going to give you a story. I don't really believe it, or I don't really think it's that strong. So I'm going to chuck in obviously a couple of times to make it sound strong. It's obvious, guys. I'm telling you it's obvious. Therefore, don't question it too much. Obviously, you wouldn't be thinking exactly straight. Again, he doesn't say Brooks wasn't thinking straight. It's just you wouldn't be thinking straight. So I just wanted to make sure he was kind of, you know, protecting himself while he cooperated with law enforcement. So I didn't want him to, I mean, it's just easy to get things confused and stuff. And, you know, so again, we've got this drifting off here. So I didn't want him to, I mean, it's just easy to get things confused and stuff. And, you know, so he starts off very solid. I just wanted him to protect himself, but then it's waffle, waffle, waffle. So I just wanted to make sure, again, that suggests to me he's hiding something and he's using just to just focus on that one little thing. I just wanted to make sure he was kind of, you know, protecting himself. So there was a lot more going on to the phone call there because it's just and kind of, and it's easy to get things confused and stuff. Is it really easy to do that? Or would you just want to give all the information to help find Crystal safely? The police pick up on this as well. They're not dumb. I know you said he's a cooperative guy and you trust him and you know that he's not involved in this. Then what reservations would you have about him talking? He says, well, for one, the guy interviewing him has openly admitted that he lies in court. I don't know the truth about this at all, but that's only for one. So again, he's focusing us in on one thing. Now, what reservations would you have about him talking? Well, he's already told us it's easy to get confused. He needs to protect himself. Instead, he's moved on to thing number two. The guy interviewing him has openly admitted lying in court. So, I mean, that kind of bothered me a little bit. Doesn't seem like it bothered him at all because it only kind of bothered him. Therefore, it didn't really bother him. Bothered me a little bit. It's tiny. It's kind of bothered me a little bit that John was doing it. But yeah, you know, that's the way it is. You know, I mean, and again, it drifts off again. He doesn't have commitment and conviction of what he's saying. He says it. He wants to say more so it comes across as more believable. But it drifts off at the end. So here in this just second question, there's more deceptive indicators and about conversations, about what Nick and Brooks have spoken about. You'll notice there's a common theme in this interview and around the deceptive indicators is the conversations, the communication between Brooks and between Nick. He's downplaying and hiding what he said during the interview calls and also his motivations for making the calls to Brooks during the police interviews. And once more, he hints at an event happening. He talked about after the fact. So he once more leaks out to me, he has in his mind that an event led to Crystal's disappearance. Let's go back inside the police interview room with Nick Houck.
Have you talked about it with your girlfriend?
Very little. I mean, like I said, we didn't really hang out with Crystal or anything, so I mean, I haven't went into any detail with her.
Well, I mean, is she? I know the typical woman is going to ask 10 million questions around something big that you were. I mean, we're both married. We know how our wives are. What about this? What about this? What about that?
Amber's really not like that.
Not like that.
No.
Okay.
Do you talk to any of the other officers here? I mean, y'all are obviously
I've been off work. I mean, he just put me on paid leave or administrative.
I mean, did he tell you not to talk to anybody about the investigation, or is it just, do you not socialize with a whole lot of people from work outside of work, or?
No, I mean, I don't see a lot of them at work.
I know, with us, the guys that we work with, we're talking on the phone all the time. We're real social with each other. Is that just not the case here?
I haven't talked to anybody about it.
Here we have just more conversations about conversations, basically. He is asked, did you talk about it with your girlfriend? That's a yes or a no question, and he doesn't answer with a yes or a no. So that suggests to me he's hiding something. He says very little. I mean, like I said, we didn't really hang out with Crystal or anything. So did you talk about it with your girlfriend? Instead of saying yes or no, he says very little. His priority is not answering the question that is asked. His priority is, this is just not a big thing in my life. I'm going to say very little. Well, that means you did talk about it. That could be answered with a yeah. Yeah, we did a bit, but no, it's very little. So he wants to just keep this distance from Crystal's disappearance. He doesn't want to say at all it was a big thing in his life. Now, why would that be? It would be really natural for it to be a big thing in your life. It's your brother's girlfriend and she's gone mysteriously missing. But I only talked about it very little. Like I said, so there again we have this, I'm being consistent, and I'm flagging up I'm being consistent with a phrase like I said. We didn't really hang out with Crystal or anything. That's kind of irrelevant to whether you talked about it or not. You're just trying to keep this distance. I'm far away from this. I'm at arm's length from Crystal and everything like that. So, I mean, I haven't went into any detail with her. So I haven't went into any detail of what? Any detail of what? What detail haven't you gone into it with her? Again, this is him just trying to create all this distance, but what happens there is he just brings up all this language that seems really deceptive. Did you talk about it with your girlfriend? It's a really straightforward answer. Yes, I have, which is what he's saying there. We've talked about it very little, just not in any detail. Why doesn't he just say, yes, I have? Why does he use all this wording to just try and create distance and to show how unimportant all of this thing is there? So also, I haven't went into any detail with her. It's not we haven't spoken about it in any detail, which would be talking about the depth of the conversation that him and his girlfriend had. It's I haven't went into any detail with her, suggesting he has detail, because for him to have not gone into that detail, he has to have had it to hold it back. So again, it's coming out in his words that he has knowledge about the event that he is hiding. Well, I mean, does she? I know, typical woman going to ask 100 million questions around something big, but you weren't, is what the police said. The police guy says as well, we're both married. We know what our wives would be like. What about this? What about this? What about that? Amber's not like that, says Nick. Not like that? No. Okay. Do you talk to any of the officers here? I mean, you're obviously all, now this is a yes or no question, and Nick doesn't say, no, I haven't spoken to the officers, or yes, I have spoken to the officers. He instead says, I've been off work. I mean, they put me on leave or maybe something administrative. So he doesn't say, no, I haven't spoken to any of my fellow officers, or yes, I have spoken to my fellow officers. He says, I've been off work. So what is he hiding there? Potentially the fact he's spoken to the officers, I don't know. The police then say to him, I mean, did he tell you not to talk to anybody about the investigation, or is it just, do you not socialise with a whole lot of people from work outside of work? Nick says, no. I mean, I don't see a lot of them at work. I don't know what that means. It's a no. So he wasn't told not to talk to them about the investigation, I think is what he's saying there. I don't see a lot of them at work. Well, you weren't at work, Nick, so what on earth are you answering here? And then the police guys say, I know, with us, the guys that we work with, we're talking on the phone all the time. We're real social with each other. Is that not the case here? And we have a yes or a no question. Is that not the case here? And he doesn't say yes or no. He says, I haven't talked to anybody about it. So well, you talked to your girlfriend about it. You said you've talked to Brooks about it as well. But here it's just this big blanket. I haven't talked to anybody about it. Once more, we've got this singular event. I haven't talked to anyone about what's happening or what's happening. It's all this. I haven't talked to anyone about it. So we've looked at 3 questions and the data points just keep adding up. He wants to leave the impression this is a small matter to him. You know, he hasn't really gone into any detail. Though it's not that important that I haven't talked to the guy at work about it, but he does leak that he has spoken about it. Now, the next question begins with the phrase, "We've got some issues," because the police guys that are interviewing Nick are going to tell him what those issues are, and you don't want to miss that. Now, do you ever feel that you're not being told the full story? I don't think Nick is doing it here, and I think this happens to us a lot in life. And I'm on a mission to share the skills that will help you understand more just by listening to someone's words, so you can see when you're not being told the full story and sometimes work out what that story is. The best way to get connected to it is to subscribe to this channel or follow. Also, do press the like button, do share this with people, because the more people this gets to, the more the word gets out there. It's a great gift to give. The more clicks, the more likes, the more shares, then the more I can analyze deeper. It just adds fuel to the fire to get this life-changing skill out to more people. So please subscribe to the channel if you want to get episodes like this as soon as they land, or just share it with people. Let people know there is a way of hearing what's going on in the world around them beyond just believing the words that we hear. Let's go back into the police then and find out what these issues are.
We got some issues.
Okay.
You're aware that when the cruiser was taken from you, that it was actually taken to the Kentucky State Police Forensic Central Laboratory.
That's what I assumed, keeping them down.
Okay. So while it's at the lab, they have you ever heard of luminol? You ever been to any kind of criminal investigation classes? All right, you know what luminol is used for?
To find blood?
Okay. Or other
Bodily fluids.
Okay. So we all excrete bodily fluids, sweat, vomit, anything, saliva. All that is what would fluoresce. Why would your trunk look like a Smurf if they sprayed it? Why would it fluoresce?
It looked like Chernobyl. There's a couple spots in your trunk in that blanket, just lit up like Chernobyl.
Why would that?
There's not going to be any blood in the trunk.
Okay, well, I did not say blood. I'm talking about other bodily fluids.
I don't have blood. There shouldn't be any bodily fluids in the trunk.
There's only one way bodily fluids can get into a trunk. That's if a body's nearby, right?
That's what I would assume.
Okay. Or unless, somebody puked in your trunk or something like that.
I don't think that happened.
Don't think that's the case.
Somebody peed in your trunk or...
No.
So why would that be if that blanket, when they looked at it at the lab?
I've got no explanation for that. I don't have, none whatsoever.
Nobody has access to that car but you. You drive it. You put the blanket in there. You said that. If there's something on that blanket or in that car, you're the person that has something to do with it, correct?
Well, I would assume, but
Okay.
There shouldn't be there shouldn't be anything in the trunk of the car. I don't know if somebody made that up or what the deal is, but
So it's put to him that the car that he has, the police cruiser, was taken and tested. And then they ask him, do you know what luminol is used for? And he says, to find blood. I was interested in that because they tell him it's not just about blood, it's bodily fluids. But his first instinct was talking about blood and blood being around his police cruiser. Now, what is going on there? Is it that he's just naive, he doesn't use luminol a lot and know that it's for all sorts of bodily fluids? Or is blood a priority in his mind? He's told, look, it's for other bodily fluids. So we all excrete bodily fluids, sweat, is there any reason that's would fluoresce? So why would your trunk look like a Smurf if we sprayed it? Why would it fluoresce? It looked like Chernobyl. There's a couple of spots in your trunk in that blanket that's lit up like Chernobyl. Why would that be? And he says, there's not going to be any blood in the trunk. So he had that repetition of blood again, that in his mind, even though he's been told now it's about any sort of bodily fluids, sweat, saliva, all sorts of things could be there. He's focused again on blood. Again, is this just a misunderstanding of what luminol is used for, or is his mind just drawn to blood? And he says there's not going to be any blood in the trunk? It's not, I don't know. There is no, I don't know. It's this future facing, there's not going to be any blood in the trunk. Not there isn't any blood in the trunk. You will not have found any blood in the trunk. Not even there shouldn't be any blood in the trunk. There's not going to be any blood in the trunk. A very interesting phrase, but he could have used that real I don't know there, which would have been a hell of a lot more honest. Like, think about your trunk. If blood was found in that, how did it get there? I don't know. You wouldn't say there's not going to be any blood in the trunk, would you, at all? Okay, well, I didn't say blood. I'm talking about other bodily fluids. He says, I don't have a clue. Now, you might think I don't have a clue sounds like I don't know, but think about when we use I don't have a clue. Often, we do have a clue. And what we want to do is just be really, really persuasive and go, I don't have a clue. It's not, I don't have any theories. It's just, I don't have a clue. Or maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that. No, I don't have a clue. So I think this is potential deception there. There shouldn't be any bodily fluids in the trunk. He's starting to stutter here. He's starting to get a little bit stressed. Now, that's not necessarily a sign of guilt. God, if I was being spoken to by the police and they told me they'd found blood in a blanket in the trunk of my car, I would be getting stressed as well. I would be stuttering just like him. He says there shouldn't be any bodily fluids in the trunk. There shouldn't be any body. Is that there shouldn't have been a body in the trunk? Is that what he is saying? Because he says body and then changes it to bodily fluids. He corrects it to bodily fluids in the trunk. But was there a body in that trunk? Is that leaking out there with his use of the word body? But there shouldn't be. Again, it's not I don't know. It's there shouldn't be any bodily fluids in the trunk. Think about your own trunk. If someone was saying to you there's blood in the blanket, would you say there shouldn't be? Or would you be saying, what? I don't know how that happened. Nick's words are just not quite what we would expect from someone who's been told something quite so sensitive. The police say to him, there's only one way bodily fluids can get into the trunk. That's if a body's nearby, right? You know? And Nick says, that's what I would assume. Now, there are plenty of ways that bodily fluids can get into a trunk. I don't know if the police were trying to bait him with that there, but obviously someone could have, it has to be a body nearby, but your bodily fluids, maybe even urine tests spilled or something like that, that would be bodily fluids in the trunk of a car. But Nick assumes the only way body fluids are going to get in the car is if there is a trunk there. That's what I would assume. And then the detectives open it up and go, oh yeah, unless, somebody puked in your trunk, or something like that, or somebody peed in your trunk, so why would that blanket be that way when they looked at it in the lab? And Nick says, I've got no explanation for that. None whatsoever. And that to me, again, is this leaking. I have no explanation to that, which is like, I don't know what to say to this. I have nothing. I've been very qualified with my words. I've been very careful with what I say. And this one, I don't have an explanation in my head for this. I have no explanation for that. It's almost like letting us in on his thought process rather than doing, again, I don't know why it would look like that. I don't know why that blanket would show up with bodily fluids in it. It's just, I can't explain it. I've got no explanation for that. He's asked, nobody has access to the car. You drive it, you put the blanket in there. You said that if there's something on that blanket in the car, you're the person that has something to do with it, correct? He says, well, I would assume there shouldn't be, again, we've got this, there shouldn't be anything in the trunk of the car, not bodily fluids. There shouldn't be anything in the trunk of the car. I don't know if somebody made that up or what the deal is, and again, we just have it all drifting away here. He's just no conviction with what he's saying. But there shouldn't be. I wonder, those are the words that you may use if there had been some cleanup operation. So there shouldn't be anything there now. But he shouldn't be. There's no explanation for that. This is all very concerning wording for me. So here, no surprise or curiosity, because it's always worth looking at what's missing. Once we've analysed the words that are there, what's missing? No surprise around the bodily fluids being found in the trunk of his car, and no curiosity. What fluids were they? Do you know? Where were they in the trunk? Was it all over, or was it just a small patch? do help me understand. No surprise or curiosity that the trunk showed positive for bodily fluids. This, there shouldn't be, would be the wording that would be used after a clear up. And also an attempt to focus on blood. Is that just because he's naive and that's what luminol is for? Is blood a high priority in his mind? Or does he know there is no blood at all there? There was no blood and that these must be other bodily fluids. But a really concerning answer from Nick there. Let's get some more from him.
So Nick, this is the only opportunity that we have to sit here and find out if you're the actual honest person that we think that you are.
Well, I'm 100% honest.
And I don't deny that, Nick, but you're not being honest with us about this, okay?
Now,
whether
I've been
it's by
100%
choice,
honest. Okay, and it's obvious you've got plenty of experience. I mean, you guys are squared away, but I can tell you, there's no way it happened the way you said it. It sounds logical.
It's very logical, Nick, because it's what happened.
But no, it didn't happen that way. It didn't.
Okay.
How do you know it didn't happen that way?
Nick, you can't remember what happened.
Well, he's saying Brooks did it, and I was in on it. I mean, there's no way.
But were you there? Were you able to say that Brooks didn't do it?
No, but I know him well enough to know that Brooks.
Well, I know lots of people, okay? I know troopers that I've worked with for my entire career. And guess what? They're not troopers anymore. And I thought I could say that about it. And I thought I could say that because you know what? We're all people. No matter what this says, no matter what we go to church and say on Sunday, no matter what that we appear like, everybody is a person, and every person can change in a heartbeat. Whether they choose to or not. Sometimes things just happen. We make mistakes.
But I haven't made any mistakes, and I have been 100% honest.
Well, Nick, I don't disagree that you hadn't made any mistakes in your career, maybe, but in this. There's been some mistakes made. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Yeah. Because when we start thinking with this goes out the window. Logic goes out the window.
Man, all I can tell you is, I mean, Brooks is a good guy. He didn't have anything to do with this. Obviously, I'm hoping for the best and expecting the worst. And I'm a police officer. I hope she walks in his front door anytime. But at the same time, I mean, she's been gone for a while. She hadn't made contact with the kids.
The police guys really ramp up the pressure here. This is the only opportunity that we have to sit here and find out if you're the actual honest person that we think you are. And Nick says, well, I'm 100% honest. Always beware of absolutes. I'm 100% honest. I'm telling you the truth. And you'll notice that he says, I'm 100% honest. It's not this, I have been honest with you about this. I've told you everything that's happened. It's, I'm 100% honest, just in general, not necessarily around this. I don't deny that, Nick, says the policeman, but you're not being honest with us about this. The police guy's good. He's getting some of the qualifications in Nick's words. He repeats himself, Nick does. I'm 100% honest. And it's obvious you've got plenty of experience. I mean, you guys are squared away, but I can tell you, well, there's no way it happened the way you said it. It sounds logical. Gets cut off. There's no way it happened the way you said it. It happened. Once more, this singular event. There's no way events happened the way you're saying them would be wider. There's no way it happened. Once again, this singular event, which I think it happened and the way he's talking about it involves criminality. The police guys say to him, it's very logical because it's what happened. But no, it didn't happen that way. It didn't, is what Nick says. Again, it's this singular event. It didn't happen that way. It didn't. So it didn't happen that way is saying it did happen. He knows about this event. It didn't. The police guys are onto this. How do you know it didn't happen that way, Nick? You can't remember what happened because he's tried to say, I'm that far away about it. I really didn't know what was going on. I hardly talked about it, but all of a sudden it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way. How do you know it didn't happen that way? Well, he's saying Brooks did it. Once more, again, it's that singular event. It's not this wider thing of he's saying Brooks made Crystal disappear or he did something to Crystal. And I was in on it. I mean, there's no way. Were you there? Are you able to say Brooks didn't do it? And he says no. Quite a quick no to a yes/no question. We will notice that potentially that is very believable. But I know him well enough to know that Brooks didn't do it. So once again, we have the event, the do it. And I know him well enough to know that Brooks didn't do it. Apart from trying to say earlier on, we're not that close, don't speak to each other, don't have any heart-to-hearts or anything like that. When his girlfriend was missing, I didn't even ask him any questions. That's how sort of casual and everything it is. But I know him well enough to know that Brooks didn't do it. Police guy puts to him, I know a lot of people, and some of them have turned out to be rotten apples. Every person can change in a heartbeat, the policeman says. Whether they choose to or not, sometimes things just happen. We make mistakes. And Nick says, I haven't made any mistakes, and I have been 100% honest. So I haven't made any mistakes, whatever. It's just not true. So again, it's someone talking in absolutes, and always beware when someone talks in absolutes. I haven't made any mistakes is not true. We all make mistakes. He's not saying I haven't made any mistakes here. He's not tying it down to a specific event. He's just talking in broad terms. I haven't made any mistakes ever. Not true. This is deceptive. He's image management here and trying to go, I'm just this guy that's never made any mistakes, and I have been 100% honest. Another absolute. Well, Nick, I don't disagree with you. You know, you maybe haven't made any mistakes in your career, maybe, but in this, there have been some mistakes made. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, because when I start thinking with this goes out the window. Logic goes out the window. Nick says, man, all I can tell you is, Brooks is a good guy, and he didn't have anything to do with this. Once again, it's just this. There's nothing in his mind that says that Crystal decided to go off on her own. It's all in his mind that something has happened to Crystal, and he didn't have anything to do with this. So someone was involved in the disappearance of Crystal. It's the words that he's using says that he knows someone was involved with the disappearance of Crystal. Obviously, I'm hoping for the best and expecting the worst because I'm a police officer. I hope she walks in the front door anytime. I think this is, again, something that the Houck family seem to do, which is when they realise they've said something kind of bad, which is he didn't have anything to do with this, he has to go, I'm going to tell you now, I have hope. We saw Brooks do the hope thing as well. In fact, maybe they've coached each other and said, make sure you have hope. You express hope that she's going to be fine. Make sure that you don't talk like she's dead. I'm hoping that I hope that she walks through the front door anytime. But at the same time, she's been gone for a while. She hasn't made contact with the kids. Almost a little bit of victim blaming going on there, Nick. So look, do you know what happened or not? I know he had nothing to do with this, and then I don't really know what's happening. I just hope she comes down. The biggest thing here is, once again and multiple times, he alludes to a certain event that he has knowledge of. Let's get the last excerpt we're going to look at as the police talk to Nick Houck.
Well, what do you think should happen to somebody? Say they killed somebody in the heat of the moment. Just kind of they didn't really mean to.
I think they're just as guilty as somebody that killed them anyway. Yeah, I don't have any patience for that kind of crap. She's got kids and stuff, and anybody that could have anything to do with her disappearance or possibly kill somebody, they need to be dealt with.
What about somebody that comes in after the fact that didn't have anything to do with the killing or the disappearance? And
I think they're just as guilty.
Do you think any of them should be given a second chance?
No, I don't believe in taking chances.
Well, when could you take the polygraph exam?
I'll be off the next few days, so
if we got one set up for tomorrow, or got one, well, it's kind of late now to set one up tomorrow, but maybe if we got one set up for the next couple of days, would that be something that you can do?
Why don't we just shoot for Monday?
Okay. Well, what if they're,
what is today?
Today is Wednesday, so we got Thursday and Friday still before they close down for the weekend.
Okay.
Then it all depends on their availability.
Yeah, they might have.
I've got a lot of stuff going on. I just moved and everything. Let's just try to shoot for Monday, and if that'll make you guys happy, then I'll be more than glad to do it. Well, I don't have a problem with it.
The thing about it is, we go up there, take the test. You're telling us that you're being honest,
yes,
right?
100%.
And you're 100% on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know that I've sat here and talked to people in that same seat that you're in right now that have told me they're being 100% honest, and later on I find out they're not.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a fair assessment?
Most definitely.
Okay. So you sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in right here, and somebody sitting there in your chair telling you that same thing.
I'm skeptical as you are. I'm probably more skeptical.
The polygraph is something that can help us. It's a tool. We don't use it in court, but it's a tool.
Yeah.
All right.
Just if that makes you feel, whatever it does for you, it'll be fine.
But agree and do that now. You're not going to change your mind later.
No,
you're going to be a man of your word, and you're going to take the polygraph as we said it.
Yes.
I know that he did take the polygraph. I don't really know very much about the results of it, but I do know there is a recording of him talking to the police about the polygraph, as uncommitted as he sounded there to taking the polygraph. So do let me know if you know where that recording is, because I would love to have a look at Nick talking about the polygraph with those police guys. But let's go back to the very beginning of that question. What do you think should happen to somebody, say they killed somebody in the heat of the moment? Now, this is a great question. I love this question from the police, because what they are doing is trying to find out how the person feels about the crime, because a guilty person will all of a sudden play down the punishment that's there. So a guilty person, a person guilty of murder, might say something like, "Oh, I think it needs to be investigated. Were there mitigating circumstances?" There's a lot to take into account, before we decide what should happen to someone. Whereas an innocent person will say, jail for life, death penalty, whatever it is. So it's a great way of just flushing out some truth in the interview. So Nick is asked, what do you think should happen to somebody, say they killed somebody in the heat of the moment, just kind of like they didn't really mean to? And Nick says, I think they're just as guilty as someone that killed them anyway. I don't have any patience for that kind of crap. Now, that sounds, at first blush, and I heard it and went, oh, that's an interesting answer. He's saying the person is just as guilty. He's not trying to equivocate it away. In fact, he's going harder and saying they're just as guilty. However, look at what the question is. It's not what do you think about the person? What do you think the court should find about the person? It's what do you think should happen to somebody, i.e. it's the punishment that's involved. What do you think should happen to somebody who killed somebody in the heat of the moment? They didn't really mean to. Nick says, I think they're just as guilty as somebody that killed them anyway. I don't have any patience for that kind of crap. He doesn't talk about the punishment the person should face. He only deals with a very narrow section of that question, which is they're just as guilty, but he doesn't deal with the punishment. Psychologically, if you're involved in something, you're pretending you're not, it's very hard to say what you think the punishment should be, because you realize you deserve that punishment that you're going to talk about. She's got kids and stuff. Anybody that could have anything to do with her disappearance or possibly kill somebody, man, they need to be dealt with. So he's talking now about her disappearance, but possibly kill somebody. Now, it's really all here that he's equivocating it out. He's just not going into what the punishment should be. They need to be dealt with, not they need to go to jail for a long time. They need to face the death penalty, not they need to be held accountable for what it is they did. They just need to be dealt with. Kind of like the child that's stolen a cookie. They need to be dealt with. It's not very strong whatsoever. An indication that he may know someone that's involved. What about somebody that comes in after the fact that didn't have anything to do with the killing or the disappearance? He says, I think they're just as guilty. So again, he's avoiding any question of punishment. What should happen? What consequences should they be? It's just how he believes conceptually they are guilty. Do you think any of them should be given a second chance? No, I don't believe in second chances. Well, when can you take the polygraph exam? And he doesn't really answer. He says, I'll be off the next few days, so I may have, time to do it, or I may not be available because I'm there. What he certainly isn't doing is, I can do it tomorrow. I can do it Thursday. I'm free all day Thursday. He's not doing any of that. He's just given us his schedule. I'll be off for the next few days. He doesn't say I'll be off and really busy, therefore I can't, or anything to help Crystal, anything to help clear up what's happened to Crystal. I will take that polygraph test as soon as you can get it. So I'll be off the next few days. The police guys talked to him about when we could get one set up. It might be a bit hard to do tomorrow. And Nick says, why don't we just shoot for Monday? Not a phrase I hear a lot. Why don't we just shoot for Monday? Is shooting a high priority for him? Is it in his head, shooting? It would worry me if that was there. And then Nick says, what is today? He's told it's Wednesday. So we've got Thursday and Friday before Monday, before they close for the weekend. It all depends on their availability. He says, yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on. I've just moved and everything. Nick, your brother's girlfriend is missing. I don't care whether you've moved or not. Just get in front of the polygraph and do it. You seem to be trying to put as much distance between yourself and this polygraph test as you are between yourself and the disappearance of your brother's girlfriend, Crystal. He's not exactly wanting to be an uber helpful brother here at all and say, yeah, let's get this polygraph test done so we can get all eyes off me, all eyes off Brooks, and all the way towards finding Crystal. Let's just try and shoot for Monday. We've got that word shoot again. And if that'll make you guys happy, then I'll be more than glad to do it. I don't have a problem with it. So again, this is not about let's get on with this, let's get finding Crystal. It's if I'm only going to do this to make you guys happy, to get you off my back. I don't have a problem with it. Again, very much telling us what he doesn't do or doesn't think or doesn't feel, rather than telling us where he's at. I don't have a problem with it. Suggests to me he has a problem with it. He seems really reluctant to do this. He's told the thing about it is, we go up there, take the test, you're telling us you're being honest. Yeah, 100%. And you're being 100% on that. Now, I know I've sat here and talked to people in the same seat as you right now, and they've told me they're being 100% honest, and later on I find they're not. He says, yeah. Is that a fair assessment? Most definitely, that is a fair assessment. Well, is he talking in general here, that he knows criminals will sometimes say they're being 100% honest, but will turn out to be lying? So you're sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in right there, and somebody is sitting in the chair telling you the same thing. So he's trying to bond with them on a police level. He says, I'm as skeptical as you are. In fact, I'm probably more skeptical. Skeptical about what? The polygraph is something that can help us as the police guy. It's a tool. We don't use it in court, but it's a tool. Yeah. Whatever it does for you, it'll be fine. So again, this is not an urgency to help get to the bottom of what's happened to Crystal. This is about keeping the police guys happy. You agree and do that now. You're not going to change your mind later. He says, no, I'll do it for you. So there's a little bit of commitment there, because it's a yes-no question. You're not going to change your mind later. No, you're going to be a man of your word, and you're going to take the polygraphs. You got it. Yes. He says yes to that question. You're going to be a man of your word. Yes. So actually, he's reluctant to do it, but for some reason he's committed to doing it in his words. So right here, he does avoid talking about the punishment, which is an extremely worrying thing. And he wants to appear fine with the polygraph, but he isn't. So what do I think about this guy then? Wow. He's certainly downplaying the amount of involvement and contact he's had with Brooks. He just wants to hide that over there, create extreme distance. But the most worrying thing in it all is his knowledge that leaks out in his words of a singular event. It's not a mystery to him what happened to Crystal. He knows there is an event about what happened to Crystal, in my opinion, listening to his words. But what do you think? Do let me know in the comments here on this platform, or get in touch on social media. NeverAtruerWord.com is the website. There you will find a whole lot more. You'll find me breaking down Brooks' police interviews there. You'll also find a lot more of police interviews if you want to look at them to see the truth, to see the motivations of someone, and to see where deception is happening as well. That's NeverAtruerWord.com, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.